Welcome to the Wealth Nation podcast, a podcast for every mother, daughter, grandmother, sister, and wife, and the men who are smart enough to tune in. The Wealth Nation podcast brings you all you need to know about investments, business, property investments, personal finance, and all-around financial wellness. Here is your host, Yolanda Rose.
Hi, my name is Yolanda. I'm a wealth advisor, and it is my goal on this platform to give you easy, actionable tips, content, and strategies that you can use to manage your money well and to build generational wealth. So today I'm talking about some interesting stuff that was released from the Department of Social Development. We're going to be breaking that down in a lot of detail.
The Wealth Nations podcast is sponsored by Solomon Wealth Management. Solomon Wealth Management is an innovative team of wealth managers that addresses the entirety of your life, your family, your business, your future, one facet at a time. We use our skill and expertise to the consideration of what you have accumulated, how best to administer it through life's changes, from financial counsel on managing your wealth to careful contemplation of how to transfer it to future generations. It's your vision combined with our skill and expertise to help you reach financial excellence. Reach out to Solomon Wealth Management at www.solomonwealth.co.za for a free wealth management consult.
Right, so two major things that were released from the Social Development Department is one, the introduction of a basic income grant for all individuals who do not have an income from the ages of 18 to 59. Okay, so we have a long history of paying grants in the country. In 1996, there were 3 million grant recipients. That was around 7% of the population at that time. By 2005, we had about 11 million grant recipients at around 23% of the population. In 2020, there were 18 million grant recipients, 31% of the population, almost a third of the population living on handouts. The even scarier number there is that there are only 1.6 million South African taxpayers that are funding this all. And income taxes are the South African government's greatest form of revenue. Those are scary figures. And government is proposing to tax us even further. So with this basic income grant, they want the 18 to 59-year-olds who do not have an income to get an income. The government is planning to give them an income with our tax money. And not with the taxes that we're already paying, because they've looted that. They're going to charge us some more taxes in the form of an additional 10% income tax. So take the tax rate that you are on now and add another 10% to that. And that's how the other South Africans that are not employed are going to get an income.
Raising financially savvy children involves teaching them a variety of skills, from budgeting to planning to earning and saving. Besides giving them an understanding of the value of a rand, it prepares them for real-world finances. Financial literacy is a vital skill, and it is never too early to teach your kids about money. Many parents wonder how they can teach their kids about money and where to find age-appropriate resources. You can now purchase the Financial Literacy for Kids workbook, which is aimed at primary school kids. It's now available at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com. This workbook provides you with 12 lessons, activities, lesson plans, discussion points, and quizzes that you can use to test your kids' knowledge. Shop now at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Tuned In. Now back to the show.
Now, I am not for one to leave our people poor and destitute in that state. But income grant is not the way to get there. Give people a dignified way to earn a living, to work for their families, to raise families in a dignified manner, instead of living on handouts. So the cost of this grant is going to be around 200 billion a year. Small change, considering that we are the ones that are paying for it. But over the last 5 years or so, 1.5 trillion rand has been lost through government corruption. So how dare they make an attempt to tax us even more when they have stolen so much? Why are there not great attempts to recover that money, to hold those people that have been raping the country on a daily basis accountable for the taxpayers' money? Why has there nobody in jail for the corruption? So the second piece of information released in this green paper was the introduction of a government social security retirement scheme. So government wants every South African to have a pension even the ones that are not working or employed, to get a pension. And again, the taxpayer is going to be forking out for this. So government is saying that you're going to have to pay an additional 12% of taxes into the government fund, the government retirement fund. I'm not talking about GEPF here. This is a new fund that they're setting up altogether because they've done such a stellar job with health and education, and they've managed the fund so well. We've got to now volunteer an additional 12% of our income to go into this government fund so we can have a secure retirement. So of this 12% that you'll be paying, 10% will be going into the government pension fund for us. 2% will be going into the UIF. So if you earn around 276,000 Rand a year, you'll be contributing an additional 2,760 Rands or so. If you're earning greater than that, you are still required to contribute to your work pension and the government pension. And if you have a retirement annuity, you could contribute to that as well. Low-income earners will be subsidized by the government. So we see a trend here of government taking from those that are productive in terms of jobs and business and giving to those who are not. Not because they're lazy, I'm pretty sure some of them are, but because they're not given an opportunity to fairly participate in the economy. The education system keeps them at a certain level. The opportunities to get into the business keeps them at a certain level. Rather create opportunities for people to participate and work themselves out of their situation rather than have them living on handouts. But here's the reality, guys. They've taken everything. They've looted everything. Education, health. They'd hire Cubans before they hire us. Denel, Eskom, SAA, everything is gone. And here they have a plan on paper to take your pension money, to take your retirement. But as a financial advisor, it is my goal to look at your finances in its entirety, not just look at one specific aspect. So let's look at the entirety of everything that government is proposing and how it affects us as an average South African. And I know sometimes when you hear the stories and you'll think, oh no, it doesn't apply to me. It's for the higher income earners, but this applies to every single South African, and it's scary. Any productive society needs certain things in order to live well, comfortably, and be productive. So the first thing people need is an opportunity to earn an income. And jobs, we know, are scarce in this country. Government policy have made sure that foreigners don't come here and invest, okay, because of all the stringent rules. I think it was one of Elon Musk's company, the internet company. Government wants a cut of his company before he comes here. Who wants to do business like that? Affirmative action and BEE. Okay, those are crippling pieces of legislation that do not allow for the productive in society to function in a correct manner. So the ability to earn an income is hindered in every way. And if you are lucky enough to be earning a decent income, government wants to take another 10% of that and pay somebody else who does not have an income for whatever reason, when they should be creating these opportunities and could have created those opportunities with the 1.5 trillion that they've stolen in the last 5 years. Who knows how much since earlier than that. Okay, so the second thing that people need is a place to live, to raise your family in the form of a home, a property. And we know that property rights are under attack. Now they're saying that they are going to confiscate land without any compensation, specifically agricultural land, but with the government reputation, the only thing that makes sense is that they're starting there before they move to the other places. So that's their starting point. And this new rule is a major threat. And who wants to buy a piece of land when there's a question mark if it's going to be taken away at a certain point? Where does it leave the peripheral industries that are involved in that? Home loans, commercial loans, the people working in those kind of departments, the surveyors, the people that have to do the electrical compliance, the pest control people. There's so many peripheral industries when it comes to land exchange in the country. What happens to those people's jobs? What happens if the land goes into somebody's hands that are not productive, that do not know the skills and the means to do it? If government was committed on restoring the land that was taken during colonialist times, why are they not distributing what they have already? Why are they not investing in those people that they're going to distribute that land to, unless they're keeping it for themselves? Essentially, with all these communist rules, they're going to be two classes: the elite class that control everything and the rest of us that have to toe the line for the elite class. So land rights are compromised and the ability to earn an income is compromised with the stringent laws of the country. So the next thing that you need is a proper education system to educate your kids and your growing family. Education inflation is at around 7% in South Africa. It's becoming even more expensive to educate your child. Government education is in the toilet. 30% pass rates, maths and science dismal, basic understanding on numbers and literacy is just not there. Okay, and this is the quality of the workforce that is coming out and can't get jobs. Okay, so it starts at grassroots where the education system is completely broken. So that has allowed the productive members in our society to identify this gap in education, and we'll see that there are companies that are coming about to fill in that gap of government incompetence, the private education system, the IEB testing system at matric. These systems are come in place. Individuals are calling for that IEB system to be abolished because they say it's creating a gap. The people that are in public and the people that are in private, they have two different testing systems and it's creating a gap. Of course, it's creating a gap. Education is in the toilet. Which sane parent wants their child to have an inferior education? Access to university is not fair. It's on race. Okay, it's not based on merit. And that is a problem. Another poor level of workforce that is coming out. If you're getting a qualification solely or access to a qualification solely on your race and not on your ability to perform. All right, so you've sorted out the land problem. Government is taking from us. Education problem, they've broken it already, so we have to go the private route. The income problem, there are no jobs. You go to business, the business legislation ties you up as well. You can't do business with certain governments if you're not of a specific race. So the next thing a society needs to perform well and be productive is a proper healthcare system. Again, public healthcare completely abolished. I remember as a child using the public healthcare system. Amazing system. Was not the prettiest, but staff handled you with care and urgency. Do you even get that in public healthcare now? So public healthcare is broken. People with means have turned to the private healthcare system, which is flourishing. We have one of the most amazing private healthcare systems in the world. Super expensive. Okay, it's a matter of supply and demand, but it works well. So health inflation is at around 9% a year. But now that the public healthcare is broken, government wants to seep its teeth into private healthcare. And in the form of the National Health Insurance, where they want to charge you and I a surcharge of 20% to fund those that can't use the public healthcare system because they broke it and they stole it and they looted it. Okay, so we can see all these communist ideologies coming in every sector of our livelihood to take from us when we don't have much to give. So for a thriving society to survive, we need access to food. Land problem will eventually cause a food crisis. We see it happening in Zimbabwe. How does one survive with those kind of prices? And our increases at work are not matching any of the figures I say in the board. You're lucky to get a 3%, 4%. Utilities, our beloved Eskom, load shedding, crushing business once again. It doesn't give other businesses an opportunity to come in. Who wants to come here and start business when you can't keep the lights on? Your machinery can't run. Hey, you're paying all these employees for unproductiveness. They slapped us with a 15% increase in our utility bill in June. Okay, our beloved municipality here in KZN, eThekwini, gave us another 14.5% increase on our rates. So look at all these increases on the board. This is just for this year, by the way. Okay, in the future, it's just going to increase even further. As the population increases, as unemployment increases, there are more and more taxes that are coming our way. The next thing is safety. You want to live in a safe environment. You don't want to go out and have a chance of you being raped, robbed, or killed, which is so high in South Africa right now. Minister reduced policing budget, but surprisingly, there's plenty of funds to increase the protection services for politicians. Yep, I'm not lying. You can go and check it up. Google it. You'll find it there. And then after all of this, you raised your family well, you've lived a good life, you've worked hard, and you've given all that you can. You want to retire well, retire in peace, be able to travel a little bit, slow the pace of your life as it was. Government is saying, yeah, give us 12% and we will look after you. Like how they look after our education, our health, our utilities, the petrol increases. Most of the petrol increases all on taxes that go to the government, which are looting again. Eventually, we're going to have individuals being born into this country, right? Born to receive a child grant because their parents can't afford to raise them. So they're receiving a child grant until 18. They're living in free government housing, receiving free utilities that you and I, the average taxpayer, are paying for. They're going to go at 18, they're going to automatically go into that basic income grant because there are no jobs available. The laws stop us from creating more jobs, and the government doesn't have a clue. So he's going to go into a universal income grant from 18 to 59. On his 60th birthday, he's going to be getting the old age grant. In between that 18 to 59, he'll have a couple of kids, which he can't afford on his basic income salary, and they will go into the system all over again. And imagine this happening to every single individual, 10, 20 million individuals, bearing 3 or 4 kids going to the system over and over again. How is it sustainable? Taxpayers are not going to stand for it. We're going to find that those with means will leave the country. And the thing is, those with means, they have the money and they have the skill to go and start. Even if they're starting from scratch anywhere else, it will still be a better quality of life than South Africa. Those without means are stuck here or will work to send their kids out of the country for a better life. The tax base will continue to shrink. How is this sustainable? Does nobody in government have any form of maths literacy? These numbers just don't make sense. So in my next video, I'm going to show you a couple of solutions on how this can happen, but I want you to get a copy of this and read it. It's a long document. It's about 80 pages or so, but this is a very important document because it affects you so much. And we speak on this channel about building generational wealth all the time. This is a generational curse. This is a curse to our children, our grandchildren, and the generations after them. So download a copy of this. It's in the link where you're watching this video. If you don't see a link, DM me. I'll send you a link. It has all my colorful commentary on it. I highlight all of the important parts that you need to pay attention to, so you don't have to read all 80 pages. I'm doing the work for you. But comment on that document. On the front page, there's an email address. You have until the 10th of December to leave a comment. It's a crazy piece of legislation. I don't want to see it here. No sane, hardworking, productive South African wants to see that legislation passed. In fact, we need to be reversing a lot of what's on this board. If we want to see South Africa prosper for all South Africans.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to visit our website at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com and sign up for our free investment masterclass.